Welcome everybody. We are on record, and today we continue talking about energy telecom application. And by the way, we start another project tomorrow. So you're going to have two more projects, and one starts tomorrow. And we keep talking about energy telecom, and the primary focus today is to look at the bug reports. We are also looking at bug reporting rules. We have that video here, which you are supposed to watch, and it gives you rules of bug reporting, which are very natural, very, how to say, very easy to understand, very easy to follow. So I don't think we have to really go over that video here, but the primary focus for me today is the discussion about how to test web forms. We have guidelines here. So that link goes to the guidelines, and I probably have it running here. Yeah, I can make it larger probably. Yeah, I can make it larger. I did it many years ago, but forms didn't change, and testing of the forms didn't change. So we will use the Energy Telecom project to do that. Okay, we'll exit this one. Here is the project URL. Okay, we have Energy Telecom. That is the application we work with, and that is the kind of checklist, the guidelines on how to test a web form. And we also have your bug reports here, which we will go to. Okay. So the first thing it says, there is an asterisk, and it says whatever you test. So you start with positive testing first. So if positive testing fails, who cares what negative testing does, really? If the application basically is, if it doesn't work anyway, if user does the right stuff, so who cares if it works or not works, if user doesn't do the right stuff. So test number one. We start with required fields. And on one hand, required fields normally have an asterisk. Yeah, see that blue stuff? Yeah, they do have an asterisk. They might not have an asterisk. And the asterisk might be shown after you push the button, and it comes back with the results, and the results will be pointing to certain fields being required. That is also a possibility. So some people do it this way, some people do it that way. We are saying that if there is an asterisk there, you are more likely to get proper information in that field. So user knows it is a must field, it's a required field. If there is no asterisk, then you are taking chances. So I would say, in terms of good practices, it's better to provide the asterisks. But then what it says, so each required field has an asterisk. That is something you test. In our application, we have a required field which is referred by, so it works as a required field, but it shouldn't be the required field. We have requirements. In our requirements, it doesn't say referred by is a required field, but when you run it, so it runs as a required field. How do you do that? You just scroll down to the very bottom. You don't type any single character in that form yet. You just say submit. Okay? And then it comes with the list of things. It says, enter your first name, so it is required. Last name is required. Good. Street address is required. City is required. State is required. Zip code is required. And then you have email. Look, email didn't change from blue to red. It didn't change. And in the list after the zip code, it doesn't say email. It says phone. So email is not required. Just in the way it is implemented. So even though it does have the asterisk, and even though in the requirements we have requirements, okay, not here, we have requirements which say it is required, but it is not. so we have to write a bug report here. Let me do something. So bug report number 1 will be here that email field. Okay. Email field should be required. Should be required. Okay. Well, make it should be a required field, whatever, to make it nicer. That is the bug we run into right away. So then another one is it says, please enter the name of the person you were referred by. Wow. Now we have requirements where it says it's not required. But then we have actual implementation where it is required. So we have two ways of writing a bug report. We can say it should not be required, which is a very decent way. We are saying referred by field should not be implemented as a required field. So that is should not. That is a very straightforward way of saying how it should be done. So it is a solution bug report. The first one is a solution. Also, it's solution. It's not a problem bug report. A problem bug report, let's say something like that. So then we are saying referred by field has no asterisk, but it behaves as a default, as a required field, field. So you point to the certain inconsistency here. So it's inconsistent. Either you should behave as a required field and you should have an asterisk, or if you don't have an asterisk, you shouldn't behave like a required field. So we point to the issue. So that is a problem bug report. There is nothing wrong in the problem bug report. Guys, are we okay so far? Is it clear what I'm saying? It's relatively simple. But see what happens. The first test case, it wasn't happy path. See? Before, look what happened. Before we go for a happy path, because normally we start with happy path. In that specific case, we appreciate the fact that the form is empty. Its version, it's perfectly clear. We are saying before we start even typing anything, let's take a look how it handles required fields. Okay, good. So it is not exactly the classic way of doing things. Saying, okay, let's do required stuff. Let's do the happy path first. Okay. Then let me refresh it. Maybe. Okay, we refresh it. And we look at the checklist. It says, error message provided if required field has no input. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, we did see that. So have some garbage coming to my mailbox. Good. Okay, data retained in database test for each field. You know what I will do? I will exit email, so it creates sounds. Sorry. Data retained in database. To make sure that data is retained in the database, so when people fill in the form, you should have access to the database. Sometimes you just write SQL query against the database and it returns the data. Sometimes you have tools You just go into the structure of the database and you just look inside of the record visually. So it is also very common. But each and every field, whatever you enter into that field, and for the purpose of testing, you have to use each and every field. You do not skip anything. You just use each and every field to the very maximum of its capacity, if possible. Emails retaining data. I did show you last time that when you fill in the form, it comes to me. Here it comes to my email box with the data you typed in. By the way, look at email. So email comes empty. It is a required field, but it was ignored as a required field. Then it comes empty. And I believe it is not just email field, so there could be more than that. And by the way, look at that specific form. When you type garbage here, guys, it works against you. It's very difficult to notice a problem if it is typed that way. Okay, why in the world you would do it that way? So it is much easier to see the problem if you do your typing in a meaningful way. Okay, so garbage stuff is not good. Look at that. Last name Ismar. First name Alt, 123 Main Street, Buffalo Grove State, Illinois. No email, good. I'm happy, I'm open, blah, blah, blah. So let me exit it again. Okay, so use the meaningful data. Values in lists. So you look at, so one says, one value represents the entire list. Try just one. So you do not need more than one test case out of one list. In our case, if it says state, you need just one state. If it says 1, 2, 3, 4 providers, so you need one to test the list. That is what it says. To be consistent, values should be consistent. Means, how to say, for example, let's say it says how much money do you want to invest, and then it comes option number one, $1 to $9.99. Okay, $1,000. Okay, let me move it a little bit. $1,000. Let's say $9,999. Okay, $10,000. $100,000 should be consistent. So instead of 100, it should be saying here. It should be saying 99,999. That way. That is consistency. To be complete, compare with similar services. You remember in the requirements it says the data we collect from users should be consistent with data collected by similar applications which are in business of, in our case, telecommunication and energy services. So compare with similar services. For example, we have the list of local, let's say, providers: Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, Nextel. I do not see AT&T here, by the way. AT&T is a big time provider. Do we have it here? Yes, we have it here. AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, Sprint. Okay, so completeness, making sure all the items are in the list. Whatever should be there is there. And in particular, you can look at other applications and see what they are collecting. Making sure things like other or none or less than or over are present. Default button. We discussed default button for web applications. So if the whole thing is on the page, So default button is nice. If the page is longer, if you cannot see the whole thing on that page, you have to scroll down, then you do not want the default button, really, because when people hit the enter key on the keyboard, they don't know which button is to be pushed, so it's not exactly where you want to be. Controls. Identical controls in different forms are consistent in their look and naming and behavior. In our case, specifically, it's not even different pages of the same application, but on same page, look at submit button and clear button. Look at them. They have different size, and the font size is different, and the proportions are different. Really, I mean, they are not siblings. They are not children of same mom and dad, you know. So that is an example of controls being the same, being consistently used. Yeah. Then edit boxes or text fields. So each and every field, when you look at that field, you can test it for capacity. So what is 5 test cases? 5 test cases for capacity. Okay, let me copy that. So you have a text field. So what are five test cases? Up to 5 test cases. Let's say we have, I don't know which one, last name, okay. And that last name field should be 31, should accept 31 characters. Now, so test case number 1 is, so you type whatever Portnov, okay. So just in between boundaries, so we didn't touch boundaries yet. So then we go for boundaries. We are saying yes, but what is the minimum? If the field is required, okay, if the field is required, then the minimum is 1. You cannot leave it empty. So let's say last name required, okay. Let's say it is required. So then you say empty. And you expect required field message. Okay. Then you do, since we deal with the boundary, and the boundary is 1, so you do 0 characters, and then you do 1 character. 1 character, let's say B, whatever character. So you do 1 character, and it should be fine. It should be accepted. Then we look at another boundary, and another boundary is 31 character. So you do 31 character, and then there should be some character actually. 31 character, you have to do it. Whatever. Let's assume it is 31. And then you do 32 characters. You go over the border. So you say 32 characters. 32 characters. So you test the boundary. Will the application change the behavior when you go over the boundary? Okay, let me do this one. Copy, paste. 1 more character. Let's say uppercase Z. Okay. So just 1 more character. So what do you expect? You expect that Z will not be going through. So here are 5 test cases for capacity. So capacity means how many characters that field can take. And you have 2 boundaries. So one boundary is 0 changing to 1. Another boundary is 31 changing to 32. And in between boundaries, let's say whatever, my last name is 7 characters, which is fine. So that is capacity. Then you come to valid and invalid input. So for last name, and for any other field. So first test case, you deal with, let's say, letters. Inputs belong to three classes overall. In letters, digits, and special characters. And then depending on what exactly, what kind of field you have, expected results are different. For example, if you have a zip code field, so then letters are rejected. Yeah? Digits are accepted, and special characters are rejected. So if you have, let's say, last name, yeah, so then everything is accepted. You might say it makes no sense, but that is how it is done. Okay. Last name, first name normally accepts everything, unless there are some differences. But don't be surprised if it accepts everything. It's very common. Let's say you have email. And for email field, so letters are accepted. Digits are accepted. And special characters. Guys, now you tell me. In the email field, are special characters accepted? Accepted, not all. Yes, depends, only certain ones. Accepted, some. Okay, guys. Okay, good. I like it. I like your input. Now, special characters as a class are rejected. It is not enough to be special character to be accepted. That is why. So as a class, they are rejected, but some exceptions are made. So then for each exception, you're going to have an extra test case. So for example, email. So you will have whatever character, let's say for a dot, which is accepted, you have another test case. For what else? Let's say dash. Okay, for dash, there's going to be another test case. So then 6, 7, whatever. Each and every exception comes with a separate test case. See? So that is what we are saying here. It says 3+ test cases. Why 3+? Because exceptions need special test cases. Email, accept letters, digits, some special characters. Minus, @ dot, underscore. Are wildcards accepted? Yeah, some text fields will not accept wildcards. Wildcards are asterisks. Why? Because people use wildcards to to penetrate security, because databases have special relationship with wildcards. So they might specifically prohibit wildcards. But if they don't, so you might find them. Date field needs validation for months. Let's say if it says date and only 2 digits, it should not accept 00. You know, month cannot be 00. And it cannot be 13th. You know? It's in between. If you have day, it cannot be 00. Day starts with 01, and it cannot be more than 31. Year, yeah, Well, and second cannot be 60. It stops at 59, and hours stop at 24, 23, and the minutes stop at 59, and so on. So it's obvious. It's obvious. I'm just giving you the checklist so you can use it. You can really apply it when you start working. It's just a very good place to start. You will find more problems, but if you just work today first time on that project, and so then you can use it. Let me see if I can call Jana. Jana, we've got a phone call today. There was a gentleman from online class. Let me see if I can call Jana. And he called Jana today because he is the only one on the project, and so there is no QA. Jana, can I invite you? Yeah, just guys, make sure Jana stops by for a second. So, and Jana was a QA director for many years in the company, so she knows very well the process, and so the guy says developers and management, they are redefining the project, so they are writing user stories, and so what should I do? Guys, you tell me. He just started to work. It was his first day today. And he doesn't know what to do. I mean, there is nothing to test. There is an old version of the application, and they hired him at the very early stage, and he doesn't know what to do. What's your suggestion? Yeah, they are working on new specification, yes. They are working on new specification. Learn the application, documentation. Guys, I can tell you, even if they do not redefine anything, you still start with learning the application. Ask them for documents. Listen, they are working on documents. It's not ready yet. They are working on new requirements. Exploratory, there is nothing to explore. GUI, there is nothing which has GUI. Exploratory. Guys, do you understand my question? They are changing the specification. They are moving to the next level. Whatever is existing so far is not important anymore. I mean, you can still learn it, but they are working on defining the next level. Check similar applications. Okay. Relax. Okay, work with them on new spec. Very good. That is the answer. Participate in that stage. Do your best to understand the application, to understand their motivation, to understand the concept. Why they do it this way or that way. Yeah, you can go home forever. I mean, really, it's easy. Should be involved in the process of defining. Who says that? Yes, Igor says yes. If they invite him for requirements meeting, they do invite him, obviously, yes, they do. He does have that opportunity. He is the only QA in the team. I think they do expect him to actively participate in defining new product. So it will make the job easier in the future, absolutely. Number one. Number two, it will make him better member of the team. It will give him something to write in his resume for the future job. Because normally testers do not participate in things like that. It's a very strong, very powerful statement to make in his resume. He cannot create an environment of testing. It is his first day. He doesn't know what he is doing yet. There is no way he can create an environment for testing of God knows what. No requirement. Okay. He probably needs to wait. He doesn't need access to what? Use cases he can write. Use cases are written by business analysts, but in that case, I mean, everybody is writing the requirements, yes. He might join them. Usability test. Usability test of what? I mean, really? What do you mean usability? You might not kind of, I don't know, I mean, I repeated so many times, they're redefining the application, so there is nothing to test. There is nothing to test. Exploratory, usability, whatever, there is nothing. Ask supervisor what to do. He is in a kind of senior position. See, he is the only one there in QA. So definitely he might ask. But the question is, from our standpoint, if you have no answer, you go and ask. But why don't we have an answer? He should try to see the competitor's similar website or app. It is a part of the learning curve. He might ask them, so who is our competition? Obviously. Obviously. They hire a junior tester for senior position. The position is not senior. They don't call it senior. But the circumstances are such that he is the only one. So if you are the only one, it means you have kind of higher level of positioning. Yeah? So you have to make decisions which normally your supervisor, QA supervisor, will make for you. Да. Okay, guys. Okay. Okay. The meeting can help to clarify the requirements. When we get together next week, we will look specifically in how to test web applications. I will give you some walkthrough. We are not going to test much, but I will introduce you to the resources we have, and we have a lot. So we will look at different things. So we want you to watch the video, web application testing, and in the ideal world, you come with questions. So I really want you to come with questions on how to do things. And guys, when I ask you the question, what the guy should do, I do not mean that you just say a couple of words which you remembered without understanding of what they mean. Okay, when you are being asked a question, you have to answer the question. That is important, to answer the question. Nobody needs your words coming, randomly with no relationship to the situation. Really, it works against you. Question: when you step in such situation and you realize that it should be compensated different ways that you was offered when you got hired, what should you do? You cannot understand how much it is worth. Really, it's completely outside of your competition. Number one. Number two, competence, outside of your competence. Number one. Number two, you do what you can do. Okay, and let's say a couple of months down the road, let's say 3 months down the road, you start looking for another job and you see what the market is able to offer you. Maybe your perception of what you are worth, is wrong. Or maybe it's correct. Or maybe you get more money, but then they kick you out in a couple of weeks because they made a mistake. So things happen. When it comes to the first job, it's not really a matter of money. Absolutely. I mean, who cares? The important thing is how much you're going to make in 1 year, for example. Next important thing is how much you're going to make in 3-4 years. So those are the milestones. What the first job pays does matter, really. And it's not about being fair, compensation or something like that. So there is no fairness in this stuff. It's a market stuff. they pay you that much, you accept, go ahead. I was answering a question on my YouTube channel, and there is a woman there. She says, I'm coming to US on tourist visa, and I want to make some money doing the home, providing home care to elderly, and illegally. Yeah, she doesn't have employment authorization. And she said, Michael, tell me, what are the laws and regulations, and what are the rights of people who work illegally in terms of vacation time, in terms of holidays, in terms of working overtime and this and that. Look, they have rights, you know. Well, it's interesting. I mean, the only right which belongs there is called deportation. She has the right to be deported with 10 years visa ban. Yeah, but people just are looking for certain privileges. Doesn't matter really. First job is not about, not by Obama regulations. Yeah, it depends how. Yeah. Well, so guys, I think we are done with web forms. We didn't have much time looking at bug reports, but we did look at the job market, which is I would say important. So I hope next time we're gonna see more people on the market. So it's my pleasure to be with you today, and then yeah, I'll talk to you next week. Thank you.